welcome everybody. My name is Jessie. If I haven't gotten to meet you, but thankfully, I think I know almost every single person in this room. If it's not from just the store or around town, just working here at Spicers, I get to meet a lot of people. Thank y'all so much for coming. I know it's a late night. I'm super honored and excited to have Jilla here with us. She has immense just background and experience, and so my goal and our hope tonight is that you guys get to just receive as much information from her experience to kind of put in your toolboxes. But now I have the honor of getting to know you, and I don't even know everything. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience, background? Who are you?
Wow.
That's a deep question.
Yeah, first let me say thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you all for being here and for sharing your evening with me. I appreciate it, and I hope that I will say some things tonight that will help and bring everybody together. And community is very important, and women supporting women is something that is very near and dear to me. I've been in this industry for 40 plus years. My mom says I came out screaming, so it was quite obvious I was going to be a singer. Really, my first band, I was 12 years old, and I was out booking myself and my band, and we would play our high school dances and whatnot, and I played all through high school and left and went on the road at age 17 and worked in many different bands, went to Europe a few times with the Department of Defense, and played a couple of those tours, which amazing stories from that. I wound up in Minneapolis and Dallas and all over the country. I should probably also say, my mom, I grew up in a musical family. My mother, some of you know my story already. My mom sang with Harry James. He was a famous big band leader in the 1940s, 50s, and then he went on. And so she sang with him in the late 40s and most of the 50s. And I am blessed to continue her legacy as a singer. I have her charts from that time, and I do a big band show myself, and it's really wonderful for me to get to honor her. I also have been in many rock bands. I'm an impersonator. Also, I still currently do Patsy Cline, and they just hired me this summer to do Winona Judd, so I'm putting that together. Wow. Right? Yeah, and I also, one of my favorite characters to do, of course, is Stevie Nicks. So I love doing her. I also have done Gwen Stefani and Gretchen Wilson in the past. So it's been a variety of characters. That was kind of when I lived in Las Vegas, because I think it's a must. If you live in Las Vegas, you sort of have to impersonate somebody. So that's what I did. And I've been around the globe and singing, like I said, professionally and out and doing all of this stuff. And you asked earlier what kind of music, and the answer is whatever they pay me for. So I have a wide repertoire of music that I do and styles, and I've learned that. And I've been teaching professionally also since 1991, and I love that. And I decided at some point I did a big band record, got introduced to Robert W. Smith, who worked at Troy University, and he said, I think we should do a record of your mom's charts with you singing them, which was really cool, except that I didn't have her to ask, and there weren't any recordings of these particular charts, so I had to sort of guess at what she might have done. So it was really kind of like musical archaeology, and it was really fun to dig back through those. And so we did that, and then I started to finish my BA, and that took a while. And then I went on to my master's degree and taught adjunct at Troy for a year, and then Auburn was wonderful and hired me, and I am a professor of practice at Auburn University, teaching commercial voice and commercial music industry and songwriting and directing an ensemble there, and it's been a really wonderful ride so far. And it's not done. I'm recording my own music continually, and I'm about to launch my one-woman show with some help on my new instrument here that Katie is helping me learn how to do. I'm not a technology person, so I apologize for the repeating yourself that you're going to have to do with me. But it's really fun to keep growing and keep evolving, and I think that's one of the things that, as I look back, and we've talked about this earlier, right? I have so many lives and so many different careers and so many people over the 40 years that I've been doing this, and I feel really lucky and grateful to be here. And if I can share anything with you all that is helpful, then that's what I'm here for.
Is that all you've done? Okay, you've been around several blocks. You have experience in all kinds of things. I can't imagine that any sort of challenges or hard situations have come up at all. I know it's been easy breezy. If you could find somewhere in the archives some challenges that you had to work through, if that was establishing your own credibility, you've got a great history, especially family, but going out on your own, what did that look like for you, those challenges?
None of it's easy. None of it's been easy. Being a woman in this industry is itself presents another wall that you have to learn to get through. So I didn't play guitar. I always worked with great guitarists and great instrumentalists. So when I was 51 and going through my graduate program, I thought, if I don't learn to play guitar, I'm going to starve to death because my schedule is going to be such that, and I had a lot of fear around playing guitar. I've always played like 1 or 2 songs, but never really picked it up to do like a whole 3 hours of music, and it was terrifying to me. My hands are really small. I'm not built for playing guitar. And my ex-husband called me sausage fingers, which stuck with me till, and I let it in my head for many, many years. And so I stopped myself. And at age 51, I thought, I have to beat this. I have to beat this. And it was because I think I let that voice in my head, and I think we do that, right? We listen to that mean girl. And we need to recognize that the mean girl is there, but she's there to protect us. But here's the point. We may not need as much protection now in our lives as we did when she was first around. Does that make sense? Like, she was there to help us get through this. She was protection, it was survival, right? But at this point in my life at 51, and that was years ago, I'm ancient, I didn't need as much protection. And I could step out. I knew I was a good musician. I knew I had the ability to at least play chords, which is what I did. And I learned, and I've developed, and I haven't really had to work with anyone. I have financial and musical freedom to do whatever I want now. I can say yes or no to any gigs that I want, and I'm not dependent on my income and my livelihood on anyone else anymore. That was really hard. That's a recent thing that's really hard. Other things have been, across the years, I've been told so many times, women don't headline shows. Yes, they do, right? But it's a fight. It's a fight for us to get where we are. And I think, should I read some of, I had these questions, and I thought, okay, I really want to think of some practical things. I think you need to really own your expertise, and you need to let your track record speak to you. That mean girl, that voice, she's there telling you, you can't, you have never, you shouldn't, you won't be good enough. And if you look back, you've already gotten through so many things successfully, and you've completed those. So if you look backwards and you say, what have I done? You look at that track record and you say, is that voice, is it really true? Is it 100% true, what I'm telling myself? And most of the time, it's not. So you have to look realistically at your own expertise, and you really have to own it. You have to stand up and say, I can do this. I am good enough. I think you also have to be, as a woman in this industry, I think you have to be consistently excellent. You cannot, your level has to be so high that even on a bad day, your bar is still so high that it's still amazing. And that takes work, and that takes dedication, and it takes consistency. I'm up at 5 o'clock most every morning, and I put in 3 to 4 hours before I teach at Auburn on my stuff, because if I don't get it done. And I am important to me, and so I have adjusted my schedule at the moment in school year so that I can really spend that time on me. And it's consistent, it's deliberate, and I have to do it to maintain the level that I want to perform at. And the level that I know I need to perform at, because I'm competing with a lot of male counterparts that have the, advantage of just being male in our industry, right? I think also women, we need to learn to set boundaries on your time, Because again, if you don't respect yourself, no one else is going to respect you either. So you have to respect your own boundaries. You have to learn to set those. You have to, no is a complete sentence, right? You have to become comfortable with that. And guess what? It's probably going to be uncomfortable for a while to say no. I just said no to somebody that I really wanted to go judge something on a weekend, but I just got a call, fingers crossed, to do another big band show. So that is, I've got to put together a 26-piece orchestra. I've got to learn 90 minutes of material. I need to pull more charts. I need to rehearse. I've got to find rehearsal space. I need to, all of the stuff that goes with building a 90-minute show. I just don't have time on the weekends to go judge something else. And I didn't want to disappoint anyone, but I also didn't want to disappoint me. And I have to set my priorities because as we age, we only have so much energy. Strategic divestment of energy. That's what I like to say. You really have to think about it, right? So you have to respect your own boundaries. You have to be true to those, otherwise people won't respect them and they'll walk right through them, right? The other thing is, I'm not sure that women particularly view their unique perspective as something that's really valuable. Every one of you has a different thing to offer. And none of you have the same thing, and every one of us in this room can learn from the other person. Your perspective, what you know, what your expertise is valuable because none of the rest of us have it. And don't discount that. Don't discount that. Your perspective is very valuable.
I'll say one more on top of that. Underestimation can look like a couple of different things. Something about one story you shared reminded me. I remember when I was very young. I mean, it had to have been maybe 10, maybe not even 10, maybe 12. And I went over to someone's house. I wasn't friends with this girl, but she was older, and my mom was friends with her mom, and she played guitar. No one in my family played anything. I barely sang. I was an oddball. No one in my family did music. So we weren't surrounded by music or instruments or anything like that. And I remember she was probably just annoyed with me. I was younger than her. She probably thought I was lame. I asked her to show me how to play something on the guitar. I wouldn't have called it chords because I wouldn't have known that that's what they were called. I said, "Can you show me this?" And she said, I remember her saying, "Oh, you'll never play guitar. Your fingers don't do right." Maybe she was annoyed, but nobody's fingers do right on guitar ever, first of all. But I remember looking at that moment, and when I look back, it didn't hurt my feelings. I didn't have enough, pride for them to be hurt. I didn't think, "Oh, I'm going to play the guitar one day." I never had that. But it did shut down the curiosity, and it was like another 15 years before I ever went, "Well, what if I played guitar? Well, what if I played guitar?" That moment, that what if moment is so powerful. And so not shutting off someone else's curiosity and also not allowing someone else to shut off your curiosity. If they say your fingers don't do right, they probably don't, but they can. You can figure out something else. That was just a really powerful moment for me.
It's amazing that you picked it back up and you didn't let that stop you. For sure. That's amazing.
15 years later, but I'm going
That's
strong.
all right. That's
Thank
all
you,
right.
2020. So in the realm of confidence, building confidence, overcoming fear, what has fear and uncertainty looked like for you, and what have you done to push through that and achieve something significant or several things that are significant in your career?
Well, I mean, I've been afraid of a lot of things. I have moved a lot, and I've lived in a lot of different places, and it's not easy. I am the person that believes that you should, if you're going to jump off a cliff, you got to jump when there's no water, because the tide is going out, and by the time you get down there, the water comes back in. But if you jump when there's water, then by the time you hit, you're splat, right? So that's scary. And to do it by yourself is frightening. But again, I think those are the times that you learn about yourself and you do get through it. And those are the things that I'm talking about. You look back on that time and you say, "I don't know how that happened. I don't know how I ever did it," but you did it, and it builds a little bit of confidence in yourself. So I had a record deal. I vetted it. I did all the things you're supposed to do. The company was sound. They had backing. It was an independent label, so I thought, great, I'm gonna get a little bit of help. They put me out on the road, and the money dried up, and I had credit cards, so I kept us going for months. Well, I had to. We were out on the road. I had 7 people to take care of. You know, it's my name on the billboard. I lived in Las Vegas at that point. We were in Bradenton, Florida. After the gig where the sign said, tonight featuring the Jilla Roberts Band and Waitress Wanted, I thought, that's beautiful. The very next gig, my band was so fed up that they left me. And I had my little Volkswagen car, and they took all of my stuff out of the big truck and they dumped it in the parking lot of this Florida venue, and they drove away. That was frightening. That was terrifying. One of the members of the band stayed behind with me. We got as much as we could into my car. Oh, and I had a dog on the road too, so that was fun. A little Volkswagen packed with everything, and me and him and a dog. It was great. We made it back to Las Vegas, and that's how I started impersonating, actually. I needed real money, and I needed it fast. And when I put on a wig and I saw the check that they wrote me for doing the same songs, but I put on a wig, I went, I can do this. Who else would you like me to sing like? And so I started impersonating, and I dug myself out of the hole. I did have to pay to get out of the record deal, you know? It was not fun. So, but what that taught me was, that was a lot, and I survived. Was it fun? No. Would I encourage people to do it that way? No. But I lived, and I learned something. And I made a really great career for myself after that. It was another incarnation. But here's the thing, you gotta be willing to let go of you gotta be willing to let it die, the old you. I had to let that record company thing go for a minute. I wanted to be, you know, on a label, and I wanted to be singing original songs. I had to let it go for a minute and really step into this new person. So that had to die to build this, and none of that was easy. But it's when things get really hard like that that you look and you say, I've done this before, I've had other things, you know. Every one of us, none of us has grown up without hard things happening, right? We get through those things, and you're all still here. So if you got through those other things, you can get through these things too. And you just have to, again, it's that looking back. Sometimes we look ahead, right? And there's this concept in the Alexander technique. Oh yeah, I'm certifying to do an Alexander technique certification as well. Now I'm finishing that next semester. Alexander called it, you're focusing on something that's out there. I want this end. And you're not focusing on how you're getting there. And he called it the means whereby you get to the end. But if you don't focus on this thing in the middle, the thing that you're doing right now, the progress, if you put your focus on that, you forget what you're doing and how you're doing it. And the thing I always tell my students is, my students come in every year as freshmen, and they think they know exactly what they want to be. And in about a year and a half, they're like, I've totally changed my mind. We don't know what that thing out there actually is. But we do know, if we stay here, every day we're going to make a little bit of progress in a direction that's positive. I had a teacher that said, do what feels most right at every given moment, and you'll be okay. And that's what we do. That's what I did when I was on the pavement in Florida. I did the next thing that I could do. And when I finally got myself back to Vegas, I did the next thing that I could do. And it took me on a whole new adventure, which again took me around the world again with different shows. And I've met lots of different people and had just what an amazing training ground. You know, I went from rock stages to learning to have to do different things and negotiating different bands and rehearsing different bands. And I sort of, because I had a musical background too, and I did know theory, and I played trumpet in high school. I mean, My mom played with Harry James, of course. I played trumpet in high school. So I knew music, and I could speak musician. And so I sort of became the liaison. And again, that's part of the expertise, right? I had that, and so I was respected by the men. Not enough to give me my own show, but respected more than a lot of the other women in the show were respected. So you need to know what you're doing, and you need to take your craft really seriously. When the other people were out partying, I was not. Or I left early. Don't be afraid to be the girl that goes home early. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. They'll respect you for it at some point. Maybe not at the moment. You feel like, oh man, I'm the only one not there. It's not true.
This is a little off script, but I love the story that you were telling. So if we're focusing in the moment that we're at, we're being present with what our story is right now. Do you feel like as time has gone on and these different, for lack of a better word, just reincarnations of yourself have come about, do you feel like you've started to be able to recognize earlier and sooner and maybe easier when a season's ending and how to kind of go gracefully into the new season? Or is it kind of you smack a wall?
Kicking and screaming into the next. I think it's hard to let go, right? Sometimes it's really hard to let go of that other person. I think if we're all quiet, women are intuitive, right? If you listen, you know. So when I worked in Vegas, I was nearing 40s or I was early 40s, and I was looking around, and the age of the singers that were coming up behind me was 18, 19, 20, 22, and they were wearing less and less and less. And I was just like, that's just nothing wrong with it if that's what you want to do, but it just wasn't me. And I'm like, I don't want to get fake boobs. I don't want to have work done. I want to let my hair go gray. And oh my God, when that happened, my gigs went, and I was like, well, I could, and I did. I wore wigs on stage for a long time. My skin looked good, but the gray hair, you would have thought I was growing a horn out of my head. It was horrible. And, for years, so I think I knew earlier it was coming to a close. I knew earlier it was coming to a close. And boy, you want to talk about pushback. That's another thing. Expect pushback. It's going to happen. When I told my friends in Las Vegas that I was moving to Alabama, it was not received very well. Now, however, those friends that are still struggling and have to try and be on stage in their later 40s or early 50s and have had to get work done to be able to stay there, and it's harder, and they're playing 6 hours in the Las Vegas heat in a rock band on a stage because that's their work. Now they're looking at me saying, that was maybe a good idea. So you have to jump. I had nothing. I didn't know where this whole going back to school thing was going to take me, but I had to trust myself and say, I've jumped before and I've been okay. And if it's the wrong move, I'll just do something else. Do something. Don't let it paralyze you. So I think I have learned to listen earlier, although that's still a really hard thing. It's a hard thing, especially if you, I was still working in Vegas. I was wearing wigs, but I was still working, and I actually was teaching at UNLV in their jazz studies program, and I had to leave because I knew that the jazz studies was not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in commercial music, and I wanted to teach commercial music because that's what I sing, that's what I love. I do love jazz. I still sing jazz, clearly, but for the most of my life, I've sung commercial music, which is more radio friendly. Jazz is a genre, I sing it, but that's not maybe my favorite genre. So it was hard when I was on a trajectory in Las Vegas to say, this is not feeling right, and I have to trust that. So I did. So hopefully I'm learning that earlier, but time will tell.
Elsa, so many of us are in different walks. Maybe some of us are in a different career than music. Maybe music is a hobby. Maybe music is I'm singing in the shower, or I play in the shower. I don't know what you'll play in the shower. Maybe some of us are, I don't do that, but man, I sure would love to. Maybe some of us work at a guitar shop. What does it look like to create your own opportunities? Now, whether that is someone who is trying to be a musician or try to play live or try to get on a record, or in general, because it can be applicable, creating your own opportunities and pursuing that can look like anything in any different field. What would you say that looks like, and how would you encourage people to pursue that?
Do anything. Do anything. I think that for some reason, we have stopped thinking outside the box. I have a million stories. So I was living in LA, and I was working for a paralegal. So this is, I think, probably how this idea hatched in my brain. You'll see what I did in a minute. So I'm working, and I'm unhappy because I'm not singing, right? I'm a paralegal. I had a job in LA that was like, I should have been really proud. I wasn't. It's like, I'm not singing. I hate this. I want to go back on the road, but I should probably stay in LA. So in my brain, I thought, okay, how can I find a manager or somebody to look at me and see how wonderful I am and take me under their wing? And then I thought, well, I'm working for a lawyer. He wasn't an entertainment attorney, but I'm like, that's where the deals are made. It's with lawyers, right? I swear to God, this is a true story. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, wow, I have moxie. I was gonna say a different word, but we're filming. So I put on a suit, and I had a little briefcase, which by the way was empty, and I went to a legal convention of entertainment attorneys at a big hotel downtown LA. They were all inside, and I went to the desk, and I said, because I had researched the law firms that were there, and I said, hi, I'm from so-and-so, 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 and I have some documents that need to be signed. I need to get them to the courthouse. Can I just go in and find my attorney and and give these documents to him? And they were like, okay, what's your name? And I looked, I said, oh, I'm Rhonda. And so you're like, oh, here's the name tag. So I put the name tag on, and I walked in and I started networking. And I quickly found an attorney who wanted to talk to me, and he was just really interested. And of course I had nothing in my briefcase, and I didn't know him. So we just start talking and talk about I'm a singer, and he looked at me and said, you're not a paralegal. Nope, I'm not. And I explained to him what I was actually doing, and he thought, wow, that's a really, like, how, you're in here? What are you doing? And he said, oddly, I'm a songwriter. And he said, I have this opportunity. He said, would you like to come over to my house? My wife and I, we have 2 kids, and I write music on the side. Would you like to come over and sing some of the music? I'd like to hear you sing. So I did, and he had a bunch of original songs, and I sang some of them, and he had one that we kind of rehearsed a little bit, and he said, okay. He said, I got this gig coming up. You sing professionally, so would you like to do a gig with me? And I'm like, sure, where is it? And he's like, it's at the Emmy Awards. Whoa. And that's how I got the gig at the Emmy Awards and sang at one of their earlier afternoon things. But it's on my resume, and it was really cool. And I don't think we push ourselves, and there's a lot of opportunities, but people look at it as so one-dimensional. Either you're Taylor Swift or there's nothing for you. That is so not true. There's a bazillion things in between where we sit right now and what Taylor Swift is doing, and a bazillion things that can make you happy and make you financially secure. We were talking earlier about the state of the streaming industry, and that's not the way artists are going to make money anymore. Right now. Maybe it will change, but right now, you better damn well be a great performer. You better be consistent, because you've got to build fans that are going to stick with you and buy your stuff direct to fan. Because you are not going to make any money by putting your music on streaming. And as a matter of fact, Spotify has just changed their tiers again, and their top tier. Is everybody familiar with this? There's lawyers out there they're losing their minds right now. They can remix your music without your consent, or with your mistaken consent, because your DSP, your distributor, changed their terms of service and you agreed to it, and if you didn't go back and you don't reread those terms of service every now and then and say, hey, and some of them aren't even giving you the option to opt out. So you agree to it by just distributing your music through like TuneCore or CD Baby or DistroKid. You agree to this, and if people are on those top tiers, they can remix your music with anybody else and you don't know and you don't get paid. It's a derivative work.
And no protection.
No protection. Well, you can sue them, but that's not going to do anything. Took us, I mean, how many years before, decades and decades before the Music Modernization Act came about, and then that started the MLC, the Music Licensing Collective in Nashville. They just sued Spotify, and they lost. So what do? I just had 6,000 streams. I had a song up for about a month and a half, and I had 6,000 streams, and Spotify claimed I used artificial bots. I did not. They said, check the playlist that you were on. Spotify put us on those playlists. And then Spotify reported to our distributor, DistroKid, that we had done this, not allegedly, that we had done this, and DistroKid pulled our music, and we have no royalties from that. Not that 6,000 plays gives you anything. It's the principle of it. And there is no recourse, because if I hire a lawyer, it's going to cost me thousands of dollars to get what? Nothing. So you have to find your own way. You have to make your own way. And with the internet now, that's great, because we can make music and distribute it ourselves, go out and play live shows. And the more we are in community and the more we go out and be in community in other places, that's how we're going to survive. And that is not where Taylor Swift is. And the possibilities are endless in that realm. But it takes work, and it takes dedication, and it takes thinking outside the box.
Was that an answer?
Yes, thank you. Also, there's so much that I don't know about Spotify. I'm like, I don't know if I want to touch you with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Okay, so we're creating our own opportunities. We're sticking with it. We're going to take risks when we need to. Jump when there's no water. That's scary.
It is, but that's the thing. And here's another thing, too. I've always, if I have that feeling in my gut, like, I don't want to go do this, do it. Because the best things that have ever happened to me have been when I've been scared to do something and I've just pushed through it and said, go do this anyway. And 9.999% of the time, something amazing has happened if I just follow through and show up. And again, I stay in the moment. I'm not looking for anything. I'm not attached to some outcome, but I just go there and I enjoy the moment, and I'm here and I'm networking, or I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and something always comes out of it. Always.
We're showing up. We're walking through. I have a sign that says, I can and I will. I don't always have that energy, but I at least try to.
Can I say one more thing? I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
Because this is the other thing that I think, I hate the word perfect. Please take it out of your language. Take it out of your vocabulary. There's no such thing. You're all humans, right? Nobody's got nanotechnology as far as I know, right? So every day that you get up, you're going to feel different, right? Stress, hormones, workload, maybe it's the holidays. Every day you get up and you're different. So what you're striving for is excellence at where you are every day. And sometimes 100% is you only have 80% to give. Well, if you give 80% that day, then you've given all you have. But we hold this thing out that we say is perfect. And again, it goes back to that Alexander show, that end gaining, right? And we wait for things, conditions for us, whatever, to be perfect. And we miss out on opportunities. When I first picked up the guitar again at 51, can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm still hoping that you can. I was terrified. I played, I had 10 songs that I rehearsed with tracks. And some friends of mine were out in the audience, and I was like, okay, here's the moment. And I've been on stage for 35, 40 years at this point, right? So stage is not frightening me, but that wooden thing with strings is terrifying. And then I put it on, I pushed my tracks, and sweat just rolling down my body. But I did it. And from there to now the guitar feels like a part of my performance. It feels like a part of who I am. But again, I had to let that other person go. So if you wait for perfect, if I had waited till I was actually good, I wouldn't be where I am. I didn't wait. I knew my singing and my entertaining was gonna cover the newness of my playing, right? And I went out and I did it anyway. Was it good? No. Did anybody say anything though? Nobody came up to me and said, God, you know what, you're a really great singer, but whoo, don't play guitar. Yeah, stop. No one said it. Nobody said it. No one's gonna say, God, you know, you're a really great singer, but that one note you hit, whoo, I wish you'd just, you know, put a bag on your head. No. Nobody says that. If you are enjoying it and it's everything that you've got to give at the moment, don't wait for this thing that's out there that you may or may not ever achieve anyway, because chances are from here to there you're gonna change, and that thing ain't gonna be what you thought it was anyway. So don't wait for that thing.
That's good. No, please keep going. I've got one more, and then I want to leave some space for anyone to ask any questions at all. That she's got a wealth of knowledge and experience. This is Sheco, so we love to have community, we love to have empowerment, and we love to have inspiration. So I couldn't not say anything or ask anything about what does it look like to seek out a support network, if it's collaboration, if it's friendships, what does that look like, and why do you feel like that's important? And how has that been important to your journey?
My best friends in the world in this industry are women. I have a lot of male friends too, right? Like I have some very, very good, tight male friends. But women, one of my best friends I'm still doing shows with. She hired me when I was 19 years old, and we still perform together. In fact, I'm going out as Patsy Cline and as Winona with her shows this summer. We still work together all the time, and I think it's so important because women's issues, especially if you're out there on the road, or you're doing something that's just different. Anything that's different, and people are like, right, you know, what are you doing? You need that support of community, and men do not understand like women on women's issues, right? And so you need somebody out there who gets it. The most fun I've ever had in bands has been when there's been another woman on stage, you know? One of my friends, she left a show, and she had more of we were background singers on this show, and she did the big show the big duet in the show with the male lead, of course, because, you know. But she left the show, and then she came back to sub, and she asked me, because then I got that song, right? And she asked me, she said, would you mind, I'm here for like a week, could I do the song again with Sean? And I said, of course, I don't care. But the manager pulled her aside, and he said, you don't have any rights here. You left the show. I'm not putting you in. You know, you left. You know, go sing your parts and then go home. You're not a part of this family anymore. And she was heartbroken because we were a family. And who did she come to? Me. Because that sort of, you know, just that emotional need. We need each other, and we understand differently. And sometimes, you know, we can just look at each other and just, you don't have to say, you don't have to fix anything. You're just there and you're listening. And I think that's really important to be able to do, especially because it is still a male-dominated world. It's getting better for sure, but it's still that way. And I'm not bashing men. I'm sorry, you're like right up front.
Support.
But it is still skewed to males, and so I think the more, like when things happen, like Lilith Fair, and those people get involved, and we do really big things, we can continue to move the needle forward. I still perform in part, and I will. Like I'm turning 59. I don't mind saying it. I'm turning 59 next week, actually. I am building a show, and I hope to be out by the time I'm 60. I'm going to get a van, and I'm going to drive around the country, and I'm going to go do these shows. I want to do guest spots on cruise ships. I want to work PAC centers, and I'm working towards that new creative life for myself. I do it in part because I want to do it, and I do it in another part because I want to show my students that there is no age limit, because ageism is another thing that's real for women. Men get better, women get old. Like I said, when I let my hair, and now it's like a big, can I swear? How old are you? It's a big giant to everybody in the industry, because I'm like, this is what I want to, this is how I want to wear my hair, and how dare you tell me what I should look like at my age? I've been doing this for 40 years. You do not, industry, get to tell me what I need to do with my body. No, thank you. And so I've always had that rebel streak in me, and now it's bigger than ever, because now I have more confidence than ever, right? And so I want to go do this because also I want to be on stage. I want to keep telling the world, I'm not going anywhere. You think you're going to shut me down because I'm going to be 60 soon? I don't think so. I got more to offer you now than I have ever had, and there's places out there for me to work and play. I just got to go make it happen, and I'm going to.
Go off. Before we wrap up, I want to make this as participant heavy as we can. I don't want to go too far past 8 because I want to respect your time, but please, girl, I will hang out with you.
Yeah.
Do y'all have any, now's the time, pick the brain. If you have any questions, if you have a thought, if you have a what would you do, how do you handle, how would you handle? Does anyone have anything that they'd love to throw out there?
Yes. I want to talk a little bit more about that confidence thing, because this is going to be weird. Weird story, but it will get to my point. I think that a lot of people don't have confidence for a various number of reasons.
Yeah.
But when you were talking about how people don't think outside the box anymore, I think women especially are made to put themselves in a box. And I'm one of those people who was born cursed, blessed, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I'll ask you anything. I'll talk about whatever. I don't care. I mean, why? It's just been coming out of my mouth as long as I could talk.
Yes.
My mom hated it.
Yes.
I can't stop it. It's
I
just
love
coming
it.
out. But I did go through, career-wise, this period of time where I had to stop, because people don't appreciate it. They don't want to hear your question. They don't want to have to explain it to you. You go back almost to being a child because I said so. No, it's not because you said so. It's because you don't want to talk about it. So there's this like good girlification that I think we have to go through to get through things. My little example that I was going to go to is I was at dinner with friends last week, and they very quiet girls, love them, don't know, y'all borrow my confidence, that's all I'm going to tell you. But they said the soup of the night, and I was like, oh, I don't know what that's like, and I said, well, maybe we should ask to sample it, and they both were like, and I was like, what? Why not? So the waitress comes back behind, I said, hey, can we sample the soup? And just a little beat of, and then she was like, okay. How do we get everybody to find that confidence again? I mean, I know for me, the older I get, the worse it's getting. An excuse, like, whatever, I do what I want to. But I think that is a lot of what happens. People aren't thinking outside the box because they don't even want to ask for a sample of soup. You know what I'm saying? So if you plan to have some sort of music career or whatever you're doing, how do you have recommendations for how people can find that inner confidence, how they know it's okay? Like, that's my thing. The worst thing anybody can tell you is no, so why not ask?
Well, a couple of things. I think body language is really important. And women tend to do this. I had one of my students, it's our midterms, right? So their midterms, they have to do headshot, artist shot, bios, they have to do set lists, song lists, so a bunch of tools that you need for the music industry. And one girl was like just crouched down and she's like this, right? And she's put it on her business card because she wants to get people to book her. And I said, does this look confident to you? And she said, well, maybe not. And I said, I'm a club owner. Do I have any confidence in this girl that you're gonna book? So I think honestly, a first really good thing that we can do is sit taller. Open up. Stand taller. It sounds ridiculous, but stand here for 2 minutes. Your body language is really important, Don't, and if you change your body language, you're gonna change your mental state. It's going to happen. So when you are in a situation that you feel like you can't ask for this sampling the soup, I think that's I think we should all walk around telling ourselves, sample the soup. I think that's beautiful. I know, that may be, thank you, we may need to collaborate here. Sample the soup. I think one of the things that you can do is check your body language. Check your body language. check your face. Do I look confident? And even if you aren't, you gotta look it, you gotta fake it till you make it, and it's gonna happen. So watch the body language. And then the other thing, like I said, show of hands, how many of you have done something that you didn't think you could do? Okay, is that proof that you did something, you took a chance, you got through it? How many did it go well for? Couple. How many did it go badly for? Did you learn something? Did you learn something? Either way, you learn something, but I think you learn more from failure than you do from success. I don't think failure should be a bad word. If people fail in my studio, I say, what did you learn? What did you learn? So there is no failing. So you look back and you say, well, that didn't work, but I learned something, and the next time it happened. You gotta keep looking back. We forget our wins. We forget to celebrate our wins. You have to celebrate the wins that you already have. And every single one of you, put your hands up. You've gotten through something, you did something you didn't think you could do. That's a win. Yes, ma'am.
Lindsay, I've been reflecting a lot on how as women we have to weed whack through a bunch of weeds to get any progress forward.
Yep.
And sometimes I feel like we are weed whacking the same weeds that have already been cut down before us.
Yeah.
How do you like think about sharing your wins with the next group of women who come after you?
You can mentor, you can speak at church, you can find coffee shops, you can start a group. I think it's by talking. I think it's by telling the stories. Like, I don't mind, I will tell any story. I'm pretty open, but I think it's about sharing the stories, the experiences that we go through with the younger generation. And I do think it's about passing it on, which is why, I've always been a teacher. Part of me has always been a teacher, and I'm hoping with my teaching and with everything that I do that I share some knowledge that somebody can sidestep a pothole that I stepped in. And that's all we can do is give it, right? Write a book, write a blog, do a podcast, talk to women older than you, and share it on a podcast. And somebody will say, oh, it's already being done. Not like she could do it. She's got her perspective that only you have. No one else can do that podcast like you would do it. You need to share that. That's the beautiful thing about technology today, is that I think we have more reach if we just, get out there and start doing stuff.
I'm so glad you asked that question, because that was on my little cards to ask, and I was like, no, we gotta get to them. So I'm glad you asked that. That was a great question. Anyone else? Yeah.
So, do you think I'm doing myself a disservice at this point by not knowing music theory? My mom did put me in band when I was in middle school to learn music, but I didn't learn, and my band director, he still doesn't know to this day that I don't know anything. Like, at this point, it's been 15 years, so I don't know if I don't know if that would give me an edge over, like, am I just, I don't know.
What are your musical aspirations? What are you doing, and where are you now?
So I'm a drummer with a local band here.
Cool.
Also about to start some session work in Nashville, but I feel like maybe it will come up at some point.
It will.
So
Yeah, if you want to work in Nashville, you have to read music really well. Most of the places. I mean, if you want to be in the big sessions and that's where you're aspiring, you need to be able to read a drum chart down. They'll come in. I mean, I've worked a ton of sessions. They come in, they read the chart, they sit down, they talk to the musicians, maybe they run something, and then they take it once, maybe twice, if somebody messed up something, and they're out. They're gone. So that is the level that you need to. And if you think that you can do that now without it, I know drummers that don't read, but I think it's in that particular instance, it's probably going to help you. And I think I'm an educator, right? I think that you get education in part because it cuts off time, right? The people that are there ahead of you can give you the time-tested ways and say, this is what's important. like that. Like I can tell you, if you're in the studio, it's really important. If you're just wanting to be in a band, maybe not, you know? But it would help you if you wanted to produce music. It would also help you to know more music theory to rehearse your band and be able to say like, hey, you know, on that B minor hit right there, like could you play a 7 instead of, you know, that kind of thing is important if that's where you're going. But if you can lay down a groove and you're a great drummer, you know. But I think in the studio
says there, like I can articulate it in my brain, but I can't translate it to their language, and that's kind of where we.
Yep.
So I think I just answered all the questions.
Yeah. I think if you're finding that you have difficulty with those things, I think speaking their musical language would help you, and that's going to be. Now, there's a lot of music theory out there. So if you're going to study a course, I think you need to know that the first, like music theory 1 and 2, like if you went to college, if you went to Auburn, music theory 1, 2, and 3 are very classical based, and you're going to go, what the hell am I learning? I think you need to search out somebody that's teaching music theory on a commercial level, like somebody that's going to teach you the Nashville number system, or someone that's going to teach you something that's more applicable to how we use music theory. For the first year, students are always coming up to me going, why do I need to know this? And there are reasons. It's good for writing. It's good for, especially if you're a singer, you know, knowing how to sight read is really important. Knowing how to build harmony stacks, that education can be really helpful. So I think it's important that you know that there's a difference in how people teach music theory, you know. And that may have turned you off in the past because most high schools are very just classical, and it's like, why do I need to know this? You know, it will become apparent, but if you get in a school or a program where they're actually teaching it to commercial people, it's going to make more sense.
Thank you.
That's a good question. Yes.
Oh, actually, thank you for asking that because I have almost the opposite question.
Okay.
I come from a classical music background, and I love other things as well, but I am most comfortable when I have the music in front of me and I have something to read. And I've started to play like a little melody by ear, and I can hear things, but any suggestions for how to pick something up and actually like listen to something more than a couple bars and just jump in and listen and improvise more? Because I can improvise, but it's improvise, I'm on my computer, I'm writing, and then I take it to the music stand, I practice, a few days later then I can play it.
Yeah. What do you play?
Piano, or organ, guitar.
Okay, so when you play, do you play chords or are you playing?
Mostly more like scale stuff.
Okay. Yeah, so the first thing I would suggest is that you learn to play chord progressions. Like, give yourself, what style of music do you want to be writing?
Writing probably like extreme metal.
Okay.
Love that stuff.
Wow. No, and that's, a lot of classical players play metal, right? So I think start with something very basic like a 1-4-5-1 progression. If I say that to you, does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, so start with a 1-4-5-1 on piano, and then are you talking about improvising vocally or on piano or guitar?
I guess all of them. Vocally seems the easiest to me because I'm always coming up with melodies.
Okay.
It's when I have the guitar or the piano in front of me, I'm like, what's on the page?
Start looping your 1-4-5-1 over and over and over. Do 3 minutes, do 4 minutes, do 5 minutes, and start singing. And say, okay, well I sang that. Well, what other notes can I try and change? Okay, I changed that. Well, could I change the timing? I've been coming in on 1. Could I come in on the end of 1? Could I come in on 2? Could I start on 4 and come in? Am I singing quarter notes? Could I sing eighth notes? Could I sing syncopation? And just start trying stuff and record it, because you won't remember 4 minutes of what you've done. And you're gonna get halfway in the middle of this and you're gonna start to relax and you're gonna go, well, that didn't suck. You know? And then it's gonna go by and you're gonna go, what the hell did I do? You're not gonna remember. So always record it.
That's excellent reminder. Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've asked this question to professionals multiple times throughout the last 10 years. I'm going to ask it again.
Sure.
I've gone back and forth over the years on should I go back and get my degree, and you went back and got your degree for music. So I'm curious.
No, I did not.
Oh, I thought you said you went back to get your.
I did. It's in communications.
Oh, okay, interesting. So that might change. Okay, so my question is, and I'll kind of tell you like my direction of where I want to go to help answer the question.
Right.
But I'm a songwriter, I'm a musician, and I want to do commercial music and put commercial music out and be an artist and tour and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what I want, but that's the direction-ish that I want to go in.
Yep.
I almost moved to Nashville, and then I met my husband, and now we're here, and I've, played gigs around town with wonderful people in this room, and I've enjoyed it, and I'm working on producing my own stuff right now.
Okay.
So when we originally moved here, I was thinking I was going to go to Auburn, and I actually applied for Auburn, and then I said, I don't want to do this, because I really wanted to focus now on learning production and doing things on my own terms and in my own time, and without somebody telling me what to do.
Right.
So I've decided for now that I don't want to go back to school. But what do you see would be the benefit of going back to school, or do you think, I don't know, I'm just curious your thoughts on, should I go back to school for music? Is it worth it?
Are you gonna teach?
I mean, I am
She
teaching.
teaches
I teach,
here.
but
Okay, but I mean, is that something where I heard a lot about songwriting and performing and
yeah,
producing.
songwriting, performing, and producing is what I want to focus.
Because if you go back to a structured educational institution like Auburn and you do, well, our BA program might not be bad. Our BA program might not be bad for you because you get 2 years of music, and I'm not plugging Auburn, I'm just using this as an example. A lot of schools do this. So you could take 2 years of commercial music. So would your instrument be voice or guitar?
I do piano and voice.
Or piano,
mostly,
sorry.
And I also play the guitar. But
So which would
vocal.
you?
I would probably choose vocal.
Okay. So
I don't know. Probably vocal.
Okay, so you would have 4 semesters of voice. You would have to go all through 4 semesters of music theory. What might be interesting to you is to get in and learn more about take our music business classes that we offer.
Right, and that's my biggest question is like, is it, I guess, is there another way that because I think I'm at this stage where I really want to be getting educated, but I don't really want to be going to a university. So do you know of any other?
Berkeley.
Just Berkeley online?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
any online.
Okay, yeah.
Master class.
Yeah.
That whole thing where they artists do whatever, like anything that you can learn, you don't need to go back to a school. I think the reason to go back to a school is because it's structured and you might get some stuff that you didn't know you needed. Right. Like the music business stuff, you might not know what to take. We have it packaged for you in something that walks you through a very specific thing. You also get the benefit of networking.
Right.
With your professor's network, which is, all of our networks are pretty large. You also get the advantage of learning all of that in one place. We have a $1.5 million recording studio that we just built, and a team there that is amazing. So you probably, although you could take classes online in Berkeley and learn it, you're not gonna get the hands-on in a $1.5 million room like you would, So I think there are some advantages, and the other thing about like a BA program as opposed to a BM program where that's like 4 years of music, you get to do other classes. Like you could take all of our music business, but you could also take PR or marketing classes, which if you're an entrepreneur, you need to know.
Right.
And if you haven't learned any of that, can you do it on your own? Sure, but would it be faster to learn probably in a school? Probably. But there are a million other places you can learn that stuff. It's just you're picking and cherry picking what you think you need to know. You would be in a situation where, where you're performing in front of someone like me and I'm giving you feedback weekly and I'm helping you. How important is that? But you can take lessons, you can take lessons anywhere. It's just that weekly thing of somebody being there with you that can speed up your process. I'm taking lessons, right? I've decided that I want to do this looping thing that Katie is so brilliant at, and she's been nice enough to work with bonehead me on technology. I'm not like saying, hey, Auburn, I'm seeking someone out who does it professionally, who I know is, amazing at this, and it's cutting off, well, except for the thing that I can't figure out, but it's gonna speed up my process so much by studying and having someone that I can go to regularly, but she's not in an institutionalized like Auburn, you can totally do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes.
I am a local musician. I actually have a music degree, and I play small. The business side for me is the hardest. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta sell yourself, and you have to have a brand, but you also have to be a chameleon, and you need to, like, fit whatever the bill is that night. But at the same time, like, I don't know that stuff. I mean, I could make business cards, but that's kind of the extent. That good with social media. I have an Instagram page. I can't handle Facebook.
Yeah.
So, is it something I should really outsource, or do you think there's?
Are you independently wealthy?
So,
Then
I
I would
like
recommend
having,
learning to do it.
Yeah, I like having all the creative say-so,
Yeah.
but sometimes I think I just want it to be really authentic.
Yeah.
I don't know how to make it authentic and also palatable sometimes.
Why do you have to be a chameleon? Explain
Oh,
that to
just
me.
like different gigs want different things, and like you were sharing doing impersonations and how that's so useful, and like some nights I'm playing jazz and they want really soft dinner music, and sometimes I'm up on stage and I need to be engaging and have a stage presence, and I'm not sure how to marry those two.
But aren't you the same? So when I do stuff, and this is where it would have been good if I would have brought my guitar. Yeah, they do. When I do stuff, like I always open with Leather and Lace, just because it's a nice, easy song for me to wrap my voice around and get going. I scat sing in the middle of a Stevie Nicks and Don Henley song.
Like, is that pressure on you, or are you putting that pressure on you?
You need to bring.
It's probably.
Yeah, you need to bring you wherever you are.
Yeah.
You don't change. I don't change. If people want me to sing louder and be more boisterous, I can do that, but that's still me. And I say some pretty outrageous things at dinner clubs where I'm supposed to be nice and playing jazz, right? I tend to read the room, and I know when it is appropriate that I can say those things. But don't be a chameleon. Figure out who you are and build that brand and brand that. You're gonna play different music. That's not your brand. Who you are, your story. That's your brand. Your core value system. Everybody's done that, right? You've taken the little thing where you've gone online and you've said list of core values. List of core values, and it comes up with a whole bunch of thousands. Freedom, financial security, service, blah blah blah, and all these things. Do it. Find 20 words that you think these are my core values. Then pare it down to 10, that's gonna be hard. Then pare it down to 5, that's gonna be really hard. Now, those are 5 core values that you really believe in, and that's who you are. Those are the things that you learn to brand from. And then you take a look at your behaviors and you say, are my behaviors lining up with my core values? If I have a core value of financial security, and yet I'm making $50 a night, that's not really lining up. So I can figure out how to make more than $50, or I need to take a look at that. But you shouldn't change who you are. Don't change. I change who I am in impersonations, but that doesn't. And actually, if you come and see me, you'll see me. You'll see me in the impersonation, because I can't sing it authentically if I don't feel it the way I feel it. I can't try and feel it the way Patsy Cline would feel. I don't know, but I can talk about what I'm experiencing, right?
Yeah. I'm not, like, my music is always authentic, and it's the stuff I genuinely like to play.
Good.
The stuff that I've handpicked, like
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, that gives me some food for thought about the whole, like, trying to figure out the business side of things.
Unless you're independently wealthy, you've got to learn to do it yourself. You have to. And again, there's many good online courses. You don't need to go to an Auburn, but you do need to learn it. And you need to dedicate days and times to do it, or it doesn't get done. You got to prioritize. You got to put your priorities in line, and you got to prioritize those things first in your schedule. And I hate to say it, but I mean, I have a schedule, and I stick to it, It's discipline, it's work. Get right back to where I started. You have to be excellent, and you have to be an excellent marketer of yourself, but you got to know who you are before you can market you.
If you haven't heard Sophie or Nina Joe, you should.
Love
First
to.
of all,
Yes.
if I could just shift the focus a little bit. We've been talking about women in music more from the performer's perspective, and I'm wondering about women in music more from a higher level managerial perspective. You know, like the people who make decisions about record labels, the people who make decisions about gigs, the person who made a decision to call you. I'm wondering, you mentioned that you've seen changes in the music industry over the years. I'm wondering, are you seeing changes, more women in some of those more powerful decision-making roles that I think would also help performers?
I do see the changes. It's slow.
And what could we do to maybe help that?
Everybody knows the song, What's Up, on Blondes? Hey, yeah, yeah, that song. They went in the studio. Joey wrote that song. Then they went in the studio and they had a male producer, and he was really driving the song one way, and she was not happy with it. They finished it, and it was ready to be shipped out the next day for mixing and mastering, and she looked at her band and she said, "We gotta stay." And they stayed all night, and the version that you know is hers, not the male producer, because that's the way she wanted it to be done. We have to step up. We have to stand up. We have to speak up. And that gets back to the point of how do you do this with the younger generation? You model it. You model it. We can't sit back. Some days I really don't want to go out and perform, but I'm going to, because I want to model not sitting down. I want to model not being quiet. I want to model. I was the first woman hired at Auburn to start this program. They would not have hired me had I not been very forceful and assertive, not aggressive, not bitchy, but assertive in my knowledge and my expertise and my confidence in myself. I went after that job. We have to stand. We have to, the way I present myself is strong. And getting those behaviors and your body language is hugely important. So just being out there in the world and watching yourself, it is changing, but it's changing slowly. There are still way more men at the top than there are women. I think the other thing that we can do is support women-led things, businesses or record labels. Work with female producers, work with other female artists. Do shows, line up your own shows with other female performers. Look for fairs and festivals that have women on the board. If they don't have women on the board, get on the board. Just because if you're a performer doesn't mean you don't know. Like, look at the local festivals. Go volunteer, first of all. If you have never done anything and you don't know how festivals work and you wouldn't know how to do business, go be a volunteer for a few years.
Isn't there like a really cool, like, it's kind of low key. Is it so there's, oh wait.
If only there were something
in
close.
In March there's the Opelika Songwriters Festival, right? This little, okay.
There's also ObFest, right?
Yes, yeah.
There's also ObFest coming up.
A lot of women
Go
doing that.
go work those festivals.
Go watch, go learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Be involved. Go out. Sit up. Stand up. Even if you're not confident, pretend you are. Ask for the soup.
Sample the soup, guys.
Sample the soup.
I'm writing that down. Sample the soup. I don't want to put a hold on it. I know that we've got some good conversation going, but I know it's getting late. If you guys have any extra questions, either come up after. I'm gonna write them down. I'll email you, text you. I don't know. If you want to get on Instagram, if you want to, hey, can you ask Jilla this, whatever. I'm sure she'll give you her contact. But if you want to DM me on Sheco, whatever, we'll get your questions answered. Because I hate to have to close anything up. I do want to say one thing before we wrap up, and it is to explain the really cool thing that I was talking about earlier. There's these 2 little coupons inside of that little book that you got, and these coupons really have something to do with this event that's going to be coming up soon. I don't have a date yet because we're working on a venue, but I cannot tell you the immense feedback that we got at the launch party and since for an open mic night for Sheco. Cannot tell you how many people, how many tables. I was like, did y'all collaborate or something? We had so much interest in that. We've continued to get interest from that. Getting the opportunity to perform and play together, and you do it by yourself or do it with your friends. It's not going to be some exclusive girls only, but it will be a Sheco open mic night. If you're feeling inspired, if you feel like you need a little bit of a bolster, if you need confidence, if you need a refresher, and you want to do something in the lessons program, we have Nine and Joe, incredible instructors who'd be able to help you. If you need anything, I'll try to help you on the sales side. If you need your guitar restrung and you need strings, please come see me. Anything that we can do to try to set you up for success for that open mic night, in the case that you feel like you need that, we would love to help with that. But I'm super excited to say that we have an open mic night planned. That is our second event, and we are going to do our best to try to do some of the hangouts that we want to do, if it's coffee, if it's dinner, if it's a jam night. Logistics on that are a little hairy, but we know that our next major event is going to be that open mic night. Yay. So before we go, thank you so much for all of your wisdom, all the experience. That was just the surface to it. We need to reoccurring. We'll get a Sheco podcast, and you'll just take up like 5 sessions of it. It'll be good. Thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here with me.
And thank y'all so much for coming out. If y'all need anything, please, just a holler away. Please take anything that you want. If you need something, I'll check you out. I don't know, work the cash register. It probably works, maybe. If y'all need anything, please holler. But thank y'all so much, and I cannot wait to see y'all next time.